finger point and blame shift and say, I'm not the problem, the leadership is the problem because the leadership is teaching false doctrine or the leadership is crazy. And might I suggest that that's why asking the right questions with the Father is so important. Hey y'all, welcome to Finding His Face, and today's topic is going to be about navigating relationships with difficult leadership. And I know we all can identify with this at some point in time in our lives. What I want to start off by suggesting is that it really isn't about the leadership at all. It really is about our relationship to the Father in connection to dealing with that leader. Once we have that foundational understanding that it really is not about the leadership, it really is about us and our relationship to the Father, then it allows us to be able to ask the Father the right type of questions so we can navigate that situation with that leader properly. Because like I said, it really isn't about the leader. What a lot of believers have a tendency to do is finger point and blame shift and say, I'm not the problem, the leadership is the problem because the leadership is teaching false doctrine or the leadership is crazy. And might I suggest that that's why asking the right questions with the Father is so important, because what we need to be doing is ask the Father what His truth is concerning what the leadership is doing or what the leadership is teaching, not for the sake of being able to point fingers and say, oh, I know he's teaching false doctrine because the Lord showed me that. Asking the Father the right questions is designed to bring you into an encounter with Him where He will show you things about His nature and character in the midst of giving you His truth about the situation. Now, an example in my own personal life would be, I was connected to a rabbinical scribe like several years ago, and it was just this random comment that the rabbi had brought up that actually bothered me. And what he said was, you need to be careful what you say to a Jew, and you need to be careful how you treat a Jew because we are God's chosen vessels. And the reason why that bothered me so much is because it made God sound ethnocentric. It made it sound as if Jews are better than everybody else. And if I get treated any kind of way because I'm a Gentile, then it doesn't really matter in comparison to a Jew being treated any kind of way. Like, you can't treat Jews bad because God will get you. That was the impression that I got when he said that. And so I knew that I couldn't have that conversation with that particular rabbi about what he said because of the nature of how he functioned at that time in his life. I don't know if he's like that now, but at that point in time, I knew I couldn't talk to him. So I just went to the Father because it really was my issue with the Father. Do you co-sign that? Do you agree with that? Are you in is that how you think? Because if that's how you think, then that means you're a respecter of persons, and your word says you're not a respecter of persons. So Father, you have to tell me the truth about what he's saying, because of how it makes you look to me. The Father answered beautifully. I mean, it's not like he wouldn't have, but I didn't know, so I had to ask. And basically the way that he answered my question was, he brought up Genesis 3. And what he said was, when Adam and Eve disobeyed me in the garden, three things were severed, broken simultaneously. Their relationship to me was broken, their relationship to each other, male and female, and their relationship to creation was broken. But even though all three of those relationships were broken, there is still an inherent need for oneness in all of mankind. But what mankind does now is they look towards the people and creation around them in the earth realm to find oneness in. That's why you have so many people that are ethnocentric. That's why you have racism going on in the earth realm. That's why, I identify more with black folks and white folks identify with white folks, as we look for things that are similar. The Father also said, I didn't choose the Israelites because I thought that they were better than everybody else. He said it was just a sovereign choice that I made, and I used them as a highlighted example of what to do and what not to do in me. They're just a highlighted example for the world to see. It's not because I thought that they were better or worse than anybody else. They make the same mistakes everybody else makes. So obviously they ain't better than everybody else. One thing that I noticed about the Father during that whole dialogue with him is that he never talked about the rabbi, not once. He never spoke ill of him. He didn't even speak positively of him. I wanted to know his truth about the word, and he gave me his truth about the word separate from the rabbi. Now, here's what I learned in that entire dialogue with the Father, is that he will never dishonor one son to appease another. He will never speak ill or negatively against one believer to make another believer feel comfortable. He'll never do that. In his heart and his mind, he loved and honored his son, the rabbi. So why would he speak ill against his son to me just to verify a truth to me. No, he's not going to do that. So the lesson that I learned about the Father was he doesn't dishonor people. He doesn't talk about them behind their back. So when you start dealing with people who recognize that some leader is teaching something that seems to be false or erroneous, and you got a whole bunch of people running off at the mouth talking about, I don't die, that's a false teacher, and blah, 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 blah. That's not God, because that's not the heart of the Father. When you seek the Father in all things, especially when you're dealing with difficult leadership, the Father will give you the answers that you need, but maintain the honor and integrity of everyone involved. Talking bad about people behind their back is not honor and integrity. He doesn't operate like that. Another question that you could ask the Father when you're dealing with difficult leadership is, what are you trying to expose in me that is dysfunctional and out of order, and this particular leader is pulling that out of me? For example, if I'm easily offended, I'm going to manifest that offense in one of three ways. I'm either going to get angry and react to that leader with an attitude, and I'm going to be aggressive in my response and my answers towards them. I'm going to talk about that leader behind their back, or I'm going to leave the church because that leader hurt my feelings. And I don't appreciate the fact that they said what they said to me. If I'm responding from a place of offense, then what that actually means is that I'm not perfected in the Father's love. And that actually could be used as an invitation to step into a greater measure of the Father's love. But he's using that situation with that leader to expose within me the aspect of my heart that has remained immature and lacking love. So, hey, I'm offended because this leader said this, but I am offended. It has nothing to do with the leader. So, Father, I recognize that I am immature and I am not perfected in your love. So, Father, begin to perfect me in your love. Show me or allow me to be infused with your love so much so where I get to the point where I become unoffendable. It is possible to get to the point where you become unoffended. It's possible. It's always having to turn and engage the Father in all things. Another question you could ask the Father, how do I respond to this particular leader? Or how do I respond to this particular situation? Because it's not going to be the same answer. This is why the spirit of wisdom is so important. But you also ask the Father what to do specifically. Because the Father may tell you in one situation to not say anything at all, but pray. And he may give you specific things to pray concerning that particular leader. Like this leader is operating in the iniquity of lust. This person is operating in the iniquity of Jezebel or what have you. He'll give you something specific. And if he's giving you specific things to pray for, it is not for you to go and tell other people that the Lord told you to pray about this particular thing. Because sometimes people use that as a form of gossip. Like, the Lord showed me that this leader is dealing with this, and he had me pray for this. But in actuality, you try to tell that leader's business because of and you using what the Father told you to tell that business. That don't work either. Still talking about that leader behind their back. That's still dishonor. If the Father gives you secrets of that particular leader, then he's trusting you to walk in integrity with the things that he shows you about that particular leader. So it may be your responsibility to pray and continue to pray until he releases you. Another thing he may actually instruct you to do would be to actually confront that leader directly, regardless of how that leader may respond to your confrontation. But you have to have a heart of reconciliation, a heart of wanting that person to repent, and not repent according to your standards, but according to the heart of the Father. Because it may be something that needs to be exposed. So the Father may tell you, go tell them I said this. And they may respond with offense. They may respond by cussing you out. Dealing with difficult leadership is not always just about the leadership. It's always about you and your relationship with the Father and how he is trying to grow and mature you in areas where you know that you're not mature in. And you may not even realize it until something like that comes to the surface. Because we may be the type of person where we say, I will not allow for somebody to treat me any particular type of way. If someone treats me like this, I'm gonna tell them what I think. And the Father may actually allow that leader to talk to you any kind of way, and then the Father's response to you would be, say nothing. And if you're prone to wanting to run off at the mouth and give your opinion on what they're doing, you may have a hard time with that. But you'll actually recognize that you are in a position where you are trying to defend yourself, and you're not allowing the Father to defend you. So it's actually indicative of you not trusting in your relationship with the Father. You're not trusting the Father. It's always about seeking him while you're going through whatever it is that you're going through, asking the right questions. Father, reveal my heart. Oh, I have a heart of unforgiveness. Oh, I have a heart of this. Oh, I have a heart of that. Well, create in me a clean heart. And you may have to keep going in and dealing with that particular leader continuously until you have been perfected in the Father's love. So then the question has to be for you, are you willing, and are you willing to be obedient? And if the answer to that question is yes, then you'll inherit the land. But what's the land? His face. Access to his face. And the more you access the face of God, the more you become perfected in his nature and character. The more those things and those type of leaders will not bother you. And when the season is completed with dealing with that particular leadership, then maybe the Father will move you out. More than likely, either he'll move you out or he'll move that leadership out. But that's not something you pray. Father, move me out because I'm so tired of being here. That's not the way to pray. The way to pray is, Father, teach me your heart concerning this situation. How do I engage this person? Father, give me wisdom, knowledge, and understanding on how to engage this. It really is about stewarding your relationship with the Father and stewarding your heart in connection to that person. Does the Father want you to show loving kindness? Do you struggle in that department? That person could be used as a teacher to help you with that. But it always goes back to seeking the Father in all things and asking the Father the right questions. So I hope that helps, and I hope you have a good day. Until next time.